Thanks for joining us tonight.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. Let's talk about, there's so much to talk about. How did you become physically disabled, first of all? Could you give us a little bit of history about your life?
In January of 1976, I was working in a paint store. It was my afternoon off. I took the afternoon off, and with a friend, I went to a local recreation area and was bouncing on a trampoline. I was doing a double forward somersault and came down and heard a snap and lying on the trampoline looking at the sky, couldn't move, and I had broken my neck at the 5th and 6th vertebra. And I was taken to local hospital, and from there I went to county hospital and spent approximately 11 months in the hospital, and as a result I'm a quadriplegic, paralyzed about from the shoulders down.
Anything when you actually heard a snap, is that correct?
I heard a snap and I felt what I could only describe as an electrical shock, and I knew, matter of fact, I think at the time that it happened, I told my friend, call somebody because I just broke my back or my neck. I knew what had happened. I didn't really know what that meant, but I knew I needed help, and the paramedics came and took me. But I was lying on my back looking upwards, and
you couldn't feel anything?
I really couldn't feel anything. I moved my hands from my side up onto my chest. I crossed my arms over my chest, so I knew that I had that much motion. You know, I knew that I could move my hands from there to my chest, and did that. And then from there, I don't think I tried to move again for a few months. As I said, I broke my neck, severed the spinal cord at the 5th and 6th vertebra, that's C5 of the cervical. You can also break your spine lower down, and wherever the spine is severed, that affects the nerves and controls the, it affects those nerves that control that part of the body. So the lower down in the spine, the more use of your upper body that you would have. The therapy that I got, I did get therapy at the county hospital, but the real rehab that I got, the real rehabilitation therapy came after I was transferred to Rancho Los Amigos Hospital in Downey, which is, that's what they do. And I was on a ward, and there were exercises and therapy that I went to and, took part in every day.
Did your family and friends, were they very supportive during that time?
And my family was very supportive, the whole time. I was living at home. I was 20 years old, at the time I got hurt, and I was living at home, and after the 11 months I came back to my parents' house, and all the bedrooms were upstairs, so they had converted a garage into an apartment, and that's where I lived for the first year or two.
And what changed that train of thought?
I think that the one moment that I can put my finger on when I realized that life changed was after I had transferred to Rancho Los Amigos Hospital, and they put me in an electric chair, and it was the first time that I was able to control the chair and get out and move around. And I went to a wheelchair football game in the parking lot, and it was a summer day, it was in August, and there were people out playing football in wheelchairs. And I got out and I got sunburned really bad, and I had one of the greatest days of my life. Friends were there with me, and I was out and I was having fun, and I think that's, I don't know, if I could point to one day when I really realized that I liked being alive and there was a lot I could do and a lot I wanted to do, that would probably be the day. On for the last 2 years. I met a lot of obstacles, looking for a job. A lot of what I can do, one of the things, I decided to become a lawyer for a couple of reasons. One, it's a job where I can use my brain instead of my hands, and the other is because I want to give back and do some things and help some people and pay back some of the things that, some of the services that I've been given. I want to give that back. When I went to look for a job, I was ignored by some people. Some people that I interviewed with took one look at the chair and assumed that I couldn't do the job. They automatically would look at what I couldn't do instead of what I could do and what I had demonstrated that I could do in law school.
Excuse me for interrupting. You're looking for a job as a lawyer. You're wanting to get onto a...
I went out and started interviewing. I could send out my resume. When I sent my resume, it showed that I did well in law school, and did well in college, and the resume doesn't say, and by the way, I'm disabled. So sometimes when I would show up for an interview, it would be a surprise to them, and sometimes that ended the interview. And some people that I interviewed with were honest enough to say, we don't want you because of your chair. And I appreciated that honesty. I didn't like it, but you know, it let me know if I'm not going to get a job, I'd like to know why.
Right.
And so, you know, sometimes the excuse was, our insurance won't cover you. We think our insurance rates will go too high. We don't think you can go to a deposition. You know, how are you going to get in an office if it has steps? So immediately start trying to think of the reasons that maybe I would have a problem, rather than, you know, the 95% of the workday when I can do the job like everyone else. As far as the question you ask, as far as me personally, my pet peeve is when someone sees my chair and they get upset, if they get concerned that they're going to stare or that they're going to bother me, so they avert their eyes and don't look at me, you know, or across the street, or avert their eyes and don't look at me, and it almost makes me as if I don't exist. So well, I like to get eye contact. I like to look at people. I'm a human being, and you know, when you see somebody in a chair, the chair is just the place they're sitting. You're sitting down, same as I am right now, and it's just the person.
Well, thank you, Michael, for being on our show and sharing with us.